Caleb Williams, Colston Loveland, and the Chicago Bears host DK Metcalf, TJ Watt, and the 6-4 Pittsburgh Steelers, a classic northern matchup. The 7-3 Chicago Bears atop the NFC North in first place for the first time since 2018. They had a Sunday night matchup that year against the Vikings. Eddie Jackson with a pick six. Bears went on to win en route to winning the NFC North. This year, they're at 7-3 with the Lions and the Packers right there behind them. They need a win against the Steelers to keep pace. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, where they're also atop their division. They're atop the AFC North. The Baltimore Ravens are closing in fast right behind them. They gotta win this game. For all intents and purposes, interconference games are typically not must-win. This absolutely is one if both of these two teams want to remain atop their divisions. Now, the main storyline for this game was going to be, of course, the finale. The last time we would probably see Aaron Rodgers playing at Soldier Field, well, it looks like a wrench has been thrown in those plans. It was reported from Adam Schefter that he had a broken bone in his left wrist, and his status for this game is very much so in doubt. Most likely will not be playing in this game. I have to tell you, I'm recording this video after Sunday Night Football with the Detroit Lions falling to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles beat the Packers on Monday night, and then the Lions on Sunday night. So that allowed the Bears, who've won 3 straight games in a row now, to be in first place. The Steelers, that was a pretty comfortable win against Cincinnati. That was a lot of what the Bears fans were hoping for against the Bengals at the end of that game. A margin where Pittsburgh was able to really feel like they outplayed them the entire way. Somewhat close early. 10-6 at the half, 7-6 after the first quarter, but really the Steelers outplayed them. Jaylen Warren, good day on the ground. You saw Kenneth Gainwell have a monster performance, 67 yards receiving, 24 yards rushing, two touchdowns overall for him. He had 7 catches on the day. He was phenomenal for the Steelers. That is what you notice about the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. It's a lot of short stuff underneath. They're trying to get over the top. They're trying to open up Calvin Austin or DK Metcalf on those further down the field, 20-plus yard throws. It's just, for the most part, teams have been taking away Metcalf, and it's like, can Freiermuth win one-on-one? Can Austin win? Can Roman Wilson win one-on-one? The Steelers just haven't consistently seen throughout the year them do that. This was a big matchup. Look, they were coming off of an embarrassing loss on Sunday nights against the LA Chargers on the road, and they needed a response. This was exactly what they needed. Now against a Chicago Bears team that is one of the best offenses in football. Yes, you heard that correctly. If you're a Bears fan, you very well know about the team that leads the NFL in explosive plays. But if you're a Steeler fan and you haven't been quite as familiar with Chicago this season, if you've just seen a team that's won a bunch of one-score games, well, this Chicago Bears offense is explosive. I will be at this game. I actually, as a matter of fact, was at the Sunday night game, Bears-Vikings back in 2018, the first Sunday night game there in 6 years, seeing them beat Minnesota and, have full sole possession of first place in the North, and this chance to be back at this one will be special. Here, I circled it on the schedule because of the Aaron Rodgers return. Unfortunately, it looks like that ticket will not be quite what it would have been worth if he were playing in this game. Look, the 6-4 Pittsburgh Steelers, the 7-3 Chicago Bears, two of the most iconic franchises of any sport in the entire multiverse, for that matter. And that's all you need to know. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. Doesn't look like he's going to have one this year. Going up against the first-year head coach, Ben Johnson. This has classic matchup written all over it. Let's talk a little bit about Caleb Williams, because he's been spectacular in one-score moments, and especially late in games. Chicago had an opportunity against Minnesota to put them away. It looked like this might be their first full fourth quarter complete win. It started off slow, but then they got momentum. They did a good job there in the middle 8. They're up 13 points with the football, but then they ended up punting. There's a massive return. Minnesota scores in 2 plays, now in your 6-point game, and swing possession for the Bears, a chance to make it a 9-point game. Santos misses the field goal, and now you are in an absolute dogfight the rest of the way. Fortunately for the Bears, they had the Devin Duvernay return, and then a couple of yards, picked up 9 yards on 3 runs from Swift, and then the 48-yard game-winning field goal from Cairo Santos, and he was 4 or 5 kicking field goals. You just can't be kicking that many field goals. The Steelers, that's what they're going to do. They're bend zone break. They're going to get pressure on the quarterback. They feel like if we give up yards, we can hold you in the red zone, force you to kick field goals. It's something that the Bears need to be better at. Look, they may be first in the NFL in explosives. They are 8th in the league in points a game, 26 points a game. 4th in the league in yards a game, 374 yards a game. This is the second most prolific rushing offense in the NFL, right behind the Buffalo Bills. 5th in the NFL in time of possession. All of those statistics, but they have not done a great job in the red zone scoring points. They had, I believe, 5 or 6 possessions that crossed midfield overall on the day and only 19 points to show for it. That feels like it's going to be not enough against Pittsburgh, especially with this team being opportunistic. Caleb Williams, though, does not turn the football over. That was his calling card at Oklahoma before he went with Lincoln Riley to USC. Did not turn the football over in his 2 years with the Trojans. I saw him play there a couple of times. I'm an LA guy flying out for this game to Chicago, but seeing him play, he doesn't turn the ball over. You might say the cape comes on, all these flashy, explosive plays, and TJ Watt and this Pittsburgh front are going to get after him. He can put the cape on, but it's been corralled for the most part in this season where he's been protected well enough that he can go create and make those plays himself. And he arguably at this point already might be the most dynamic evader of pressure at the quarterback position in the league, which is saying something because you've got greats like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, guys that have been doing it for a while now at a really high level, even Lamar Jackson, but Caleb Williams is right up there with the most of them because of that leg strength that he possesses. If you get close to him, you can really see the strength that he has in the lower half of his body, being able to quickly accelerate and get away from pressure. Also, that strength allows you to brush off defenders if they do get their hands on you. So TJ Watt, he's going to have to wrap up, and this is the most important blocking day for Chicago since they played probably Detroit earlier in the season. Chips are coming. He is the highest chipped player in the NFL, and there's a reason for it. I know there's a lot of people that have been down on TJ Watt. They look at the statistics and say he's not the same guy. He's not worth $40 million a year, but if you go and actually watch the games and you see what TJ Watt is facing up against, it's mainly the way I equate it to like Jeremiah Smith as a wide receiver getting double covered every play. It's open up guys like Carnell Tate. For TJ Watt getting chipped and double team, it's open up his teammates, and it's a big part of why the Pittsburgh Steelers are 3rd in the NFL. They've got 33 sacks on the season, 8th in the league with 9 interceptions, and they're 4th in the NFL in total turnover differential. The 6-4 record, that stands true. They are a bona fide playoff contending team that will be a dangerous team to play if they do get into the postseason, especially if they were able to get that game at home. But you talk about those numbers, that's compared to Chicago, leads the NFL in takeaways. 1st in the league, clearly, in interceptions with 15 on the year. For the first time since 1985, the 85 Bears, through 10 games, they have 3 players with 4 interceptions or more. Nashawn Wright of the Minnesota, a player that gets cut, and the Bears pick him up. He has a pick 6 against Minnesota week 1, a pick this week in the end zone against the Vikings in a big spot. Linebacker Tremaine Edmonds with 4 picks, and then Kevin Byard leads the NFL with 5 interceptions, leading the league with those takeaways, and then 1st in the league with 16 plus 16 total turnover differential. I don't know if you look at statistics and do deep dives, but if you go back and look, typically a league-leading turnover differential is right around that mark. And to be there through a little bit over half of the season shows you some of the potential. If they keep these numbers up, that you really are looking at a contender of some sort. I'm not going to quite say that word just quite yet, but you get to a point of 8-3 with a looming game against the Philadelphia Eagles. There are opportunities to say, that 9-letter, 2-word phrase for what could potentially be there for Chicago. And this is ultimately year one. Year one for Matt Nagy turned into that year, right? 12-4. Nobody thought it was going to come. And sure enough, they were 12-4. And right there, winded up being a team that really was of that caliber. And it didn't feel like it was that year. It felt like you were building towards the next year. All of a sudden, they were 12-4 and beating teams like the Rams. This Bears team hasn't played opponents of that caliber and played them tight yet, but they will have their opportunities. All of it will have to do with the defense, and if they are able to put pressure on the quarterback. Only 21 sacks on the season. That's 20th in the NFL. Austin Booker, he's done a good job. Sweat's come alive now in recent weeks. But overall, they got to do a better job of getting after the quarterback. So Mason Rudolph in this game, the expected starting quarterback for Pittsburgh. He's had a lot of experience. This is a guy that has been in this system and understands what his responsibility is. Look, it's not do too much. Don't turn the football over. Get the ball out of your hands quickly. Hands it off. Execute the offense. If it's not there, throw it away. Let's play some dang defense. All right. Like the Pittsburgh number for this team, they feel like if they score 23, 24 points, that they're going to be very confident in winning games. Unfortunately, against a team like Chicago that is more than capable of putting up 26, 27, is 24 points enough in this game at Soldier Field? I'm thinking about it, and I believe that 24 just might be a number. You could see a little bit higher scoring than that. The weather reports, or the forecast, I should say, looks to be like a game in the high 40s. A cloudy day there at Soldier Field right on the lake. And so weather not a real major factor as of this point. Still, we're a week ahead of those forecasts. It's amazing that you can get them that early and they can be somewhat accurate, but still some time. Who knows what can happen when you're that close to the lake. For all we know, we might have lake effect snow coming in for this game, and there could be 2 inches. For Pittsburgh, this ground game has to be effective, and they cannot be in 3rd and long. Chicago is way too opportunistic and proven of a defense with Dennis Allen to stack that line of scrimmage and bring up Edmonds and bring up these linebackers and CJ Gardner-Johnson, the addition, who's been very good through 3 games for Chicago. And all of these defensive backs and Brisker up, and now you're looking at 6-7 guys. It's simulated pressure. Maybe only 4 comes, but you have that looks like 7, and you wind up having 1 guy in to block than you need to, and your running back's not able to go out for a route, or you're not able to protect it well enough. So you have to stay out of 3rd and 6 plus against Chicago. What does that mean? Success on the early downs. The Bears have not been a good offense overall in total yards. They're bottom 8 in the league in points, bottom 8 in yards allowed. Why they're 7-3? Of course, the late game heroics of Caleb Williams and being opportunistic, but also it has been that they are a top 10 team in the league on 3rd down, and that's critical, as well as the ability on defense to take the football away and not turning it over on offense. That's been the story of why it's worked for this team to be in contention now to get into the postseason and do as much damage as possible, as much as anyone can. So that's really what you're looking at right now. And for Pittsburgh, staring that in the face, it's like, okay, well, someone's going to have to do a good job blocking Grady Jarrett. He was a game wrecker a couple of times, forcing an interception, getting pressure in the face of J.J. McCarthy a couple of times there. He's been a massive addition now in terms of the run stuffing for Chicago's front, and also as a pass rusher and getting pressure on the quarterback. He's done a very good job. Pittsburgh defensively against this Bears offense, look, if you're not able to stop the run, you don't have a chance. It's crazy to say that about Chicago because they've been so bad at the quarterback position for a while. If you can't hold this Bears team to under 4.8 yards a carry, you just won't be able to stop this offense because Caleb Williams can be surgical at times. He can be inconsistent with his accuracy, but you can't rely on that, not with this array of weapons. So DeAndre Swift, on 21 carries, he had 90 yards. Monungai, not quite as productive as he had been previously, 12 carries for 23. Overall, the Bears did have 140 yards. They kept at it, kept running the football. They maintained balance, making it difficult on the Minnesota Vikings in that game. And what did that lead to? Well, it was a day where they had a ton of third downs, a lot of them very manageable. Chicago did not do a great job on third down. 18 third down attempts in that game. Quite the massive number. The Vikings were 3 of 11 on third down. The Bears not quite as good because they only were able to run it for 3.6 yards a carry overall. They've been creative in getting DJ Moore some carries, and Caleb Williams, you started to see him use his legs more at times now throughout the back half of the season. This is where it's like, all right, you need a first down. It's fourth quarter. It's time to go get some yards, be a threat with my legs in the red zone. That's where you've seen Caleb get really aggressive. But with this core of weapons, Colston Loveland with a major catch in the fourth quarter, I really have liked the elevation in Cole Kmet catching the ball out of the backfield. He was the leading Bears receiver, 5 catches for 45 yards. Rome Odunze disappeared in the second half, but still, he had a really big catch on second or first and 25 that Chicago had to set up a first down that they wound up converting. DJ Moore, disappointing game, only 1 catch for 18 yards and had a big catch on their second to last possession that Loveland wound up making up for on a third and 14, something like that they wound up picking up. So DJ Moore's role in this offense has slimmed down a little bit, but who's increased has been Luther Burden. He had a big drop, comes back the next play of the play after, and Johnson goes to him on 3rd and 9 on a bit of a screen dump-off play. He goes and gets 14 yards, and the Bears pick up a new set of downs. So it's been clear and obvious that Luther Burden is now wide receiver 3. Zacchaeus, after some drops, inconsistency, Luther Burden now has that wide receiver 3 spot, and it is his to lose. We just went through 6 legitimate weapons, not even fully going into DeAndre Swift and what he brings to this offense. You're looking at an offense with weapons to compete with anybody. They addressed it in the draft this past year. They got free agents in years past, bringing in Swift. Monungai, you're looking at a 7th rounder. Burden, 2nd rounder. Loveland, the 1st rounder. DJ Moore in the draft 2 years ago, bringing in Caleb and Odunze in that 1st rounder. So all of the attention has been to the offensive side of the ball. You'd imagine in the next draft or two, they're going to be putting a lot more focus on the defensive side of the football to start get to that side short up, as Ben Johnson has clearly proven he is worth every penny. He's done an unbelievable job in turning this offense around. Nobody expected 7-3, especially not after 0-2. I think Bears fans would have been happy with a 5-5 record going into this game, saying, all right, you're going to go 5-3 over the next 8 after starting 0-2. Sure enough, they go 7-1 in that stretch. So for Pittsburgh, and you're facing all of this creativity, these weapons, you're going to have to come out there and I think almost roll out in a too high shell. I want to see Jalen Ramsey playing closer to the line of scrimmage where he's better in run support and he can play deep field safety, or he can play in the slot or on the outside. Versatile type weapon player, but he's got to be impactful in the run game. You lose a guy in Minkah Fitzpatrick that does it all, and Jalen's somewhat being that type of role player for this Pittsburgh Steelers defense. That's where I'd like to see him, seeing up close and watching him. I'm going to have my eyes on him probably for the entire day. He had that little incident. Number 5 has been a great player for a long time. Jamar Chase, I don't know the exact details, whether he spit on him or whether that happened or not with Jamar Chase and one of them spitting on each other. We don't need to go into that. It's just unnecessary. They're 2 fiery guys, highly competitive. It's a divisional matchup. What do you expect? It's the AFC North. These types of things happen. It's a bit of the unsportsmanlike and stuff you wouldn't like to see. But then again, this is a black and blue division, and you do somewhat appreciate Jalen Ramsey coming into this division and having a knack for despising and not liking his divisional opponents and bringing some energy, especially to a guy like Jamar Chase. That's probably the best receiver in the NFL right now. Him and Jefferson, no doubt about it. How does Pittsburgh unlock Metcalf? I've been asking this question the whole season. It seemed like him and Rodgers were very close to a breakout. Like him and Rodgers were getting closer on the same page. The red zone, it was happening. Then you watch the game against the Chargers, and then this past week, him play against Cincy, and it's okay. He had a very nice performance, but it's this game against Chicago. Look, Tyreek Stevenson went down. He was making an attempt to catch that interception in that second half, and then he's contacted by Jaquan Brisker. Both of those guys get hurt off the field. Brisker was back on, but Tyreek Stevenson, his status for this game is up in the air. Chicago cannot lose him. Again, very badly need him. They got great news that Jaylon Johnson will be making a return this season within the next couple of weeks. If I had to predict, based on the Bears' tendencies and the way they handled Austin Booker, most likely you are looking at a return December 7th at Lambeau Field and the Green Bay Packers. Don't expect him to play against the Steelers or on a short week against Philadelphia. No reason to rush him back when you're going to be playing two meaningful games 2 out of 3 weeks against the Packers within the division, and you want Jaylon to be available for the rest of the season, and you cannot risk him not being able to be playing against Green Bay twice. The Lions, the last game of the year. San Francisco put the second to last game, potentially the playoffs, just because you want to rush him back. I know these are very tough opponents, but everybody has injuries. I mean, heck, the Pittsburgh Steelers are dealing with an injury to their starting quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, and their shot of winning a playoff game hinges around him. You think Pittsburgh doesn't want to rush Aaron back and have him play against Chicago? Heck, Bears fans want Aaron Rodgers to come back and play against them. They're paying money, flying in from across the country to see him one last time go against the Bears. And especially at Soldier Field, for that not to happen almost feels like it's a major punch to the chest. They're all hoping that the big bad witch comes back and they're able to pour a water on it and essentially just end the sort of curse that has befallen. You think about some memorable matchups, to do a little bit of a segue, is you think about the 2010 NFC Championship game and Rodgers winning that game against Chicago, and Cutler going down, Haney playing decently well in the second half, but it's not enough, and the Bears fall in the champ game. Rodgers goes on to win the Super Bowl, his only Super Bowl. He lost his next 4 champ games, and you think about 2018, week 1, a Bears team that if they did not give up that comeback to Rodgers, they were up 20-0 in that one. They would have been 13-3 and had a first-round bye, had the tiebreaker over the Los Angeles Rams, and had a bye and not have been playing Philadelphia in that round. For all intents and purposes, it could have been the Rams coming back in a rematch of that December game. All of that because of the comeback from Rodgers. 2013, I was also there. 4th and 8. Rodgers is pressured by Julius Peppers. Bears all-out blitz. He gets out of it, and he hits Randall Cobb for a 48-yard touchdown. I'm watching that. I was, I think, 13, 14 years old. Heartbroken and all, seeing Aaron Rodgers deliver that ball down the field and evade. It's something he unfortunately can't really do much of anymore, the mobility. He's not what he once was. I mean, it's a torn Achilles. He's 12 years older than that. I mean, heck, that was when he was 28 years old making those plays, and his mobility. No doubt a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. You go back to his I still own you moments against Chicago a few seasons ago. All of those Sunday night massacre type moments. 2014, 42-0 at half, something like that. 2009, the game Brian Urlacher breaks his wrist. So all of this history between Chicago and Green Bay, a Thanksgiving game, pretty much the only game the Bears, I believe, beat Aaron at Lambeau was Thanksgiving 2015. Rodgers lost on a rainy game, the Brett Favre retirement night against Cutler. They had the 1st and goal from the 8 and then 4 straight incompletions for the Bears to hold on to win that game. And then I want to say the next week he threw the Hail Mary to beat the Detroit Lions. So all that history between these two teams, not two teams, but between Rodgers and Chicago, it felt like it was this moment, the Bears' new quarterback of the future, regime coach, with an opportunity to show that this is the future and beat them. It's almost like, man, that's gonna hurt. So maybe there is a shot he can come in there and play again. When you're watching this, it is quite possible that there is an unknown status, or it is known status that he's playing. So I do apologize with the promptness of this video, in the sense that it's already potentially known to you. So let's go into a little bit of what they miss here with Rudolph in this game and how they're going to cater around. Well, we talked about the ball coming out quickly. You got to make this secondary come up, wrap, and tackle, as well as cover. I mean, do they have a guy in that secondary, if Stevenson isn't playing, that can one-on-one line up and cover DK Metcalf? I'm going to go with no. I think Chicago rotates Brisker over if he's playing. Also, another guy that got banged up last week. Byard over to defend Metcalf. You cannot let this guy get behind you. That track level speed and bodybuilder level explosiveness and strength, you just can't let a guy like that get behind you. I believe that Freiermuth is a very key player in this game, specifically on third down, having that type of weapon. So his matchup against probably Noah Sewell, potentially Tremaine Edmonds in coverage. Chicago really misses TJ Edwards, cannot get him back soon enough. The green dot, the play caller for that defense, and having him in the middle is pivotal for Chicago to get into the right alignments, to get into the right play call, so that they are fully set when the ball is snapped, and they can play firing downhill instead of on their heels. A lot of that has to do with TJ Edwards. You could see the offense not play up to the level in different games when TJ Edwards was not in the lineup. Notably, you'd probably think about the second half, or against Detroit. TJ gets hurt, I think, in like the early second quarter. I remember this past week against Minnesota. There's probably an argument this is their best defensive performance, but Noah Sewell comes out. There's J.J. McCarthy missing a whole bunch of passes and inconsistency. So Mason Rudolph can't turn the ball over. He also can't miss open receivers. I mean, J.J. McCarthy had probably 6 really bad throws in this game where he's got an open receiver and just missed him. The big missed throw down the sideline to Hawkinson comes to mind. Underthrowing his wideouts in the end zone, and Deshaun Wright makes a heck of a play, showing off that 6'4.5" length to make that interception. And a very special moment that his coach had been shot and killed, and he'd passed away, so he was very emotional after that play, and he'll be given that ball to the family of his former coach when he was younger. So that was special for him to get that play. So does Pittsburgh go after him? Do they go after the nickel in C.J. Gardner-Johnson? How does Dennis Allen put C.J. in a position where he's able to put him in a spot to succeed, getting after the quarterback in third down, as well as being able to wrap and tackle pretty well? He has been pretty decent in pass coverage. He's been such a foundational, just great addition to this roster at this point in the season. When you have the decision of Kyler Gordon coming back, I don't think it's a problem. I think it's just another great guest at the dinner table, so to say, another mouth to feed that you've got plenty of cheese soup to offer it with. So I think that's not at all going to be an issue once Kyler Gordon is available. So you talk about the reinforcements that they have: Kyler Gordon, Jaylon Johnson coming back in December, of what this team could potentially start to look like if they start playing more complete football on offense. And then defensively, the secondary really comes together and get Edwards back. So there are 3-4 pivotal pieces of that Bears defense to come together. I know there's injuries everywhere across the league. So that's what's necessary for Rudolph in this game in order for him to do well. I personally see a takeaway coming of some sort, whether that be Montez Sweat coming behind and getting a strip sack, or Booker, or getting pressure on Rudolph. It's hard for me not to see a takeaway in this game. This is going to be the most energized and loud a Chicago Bears crowd has been I don't know, maybe since that Philadelphia wild card playoff game. I mean, this place is going to be on fire. They're going to be going crazy. 63,000 strong that will be showing up 5 hours prior for tailgating for this one. Certainly an environment that will be difficult to deal with. Monday night against the Vikings to start this season I wasn't there, but it sounded pretty incredible, it being on fire. But now you fast forward to this position, you just imagine that it's going to be a difficult environment for the Steelers to deal with. And so Rudolph, is there an opportunity for him on third down? Those silencing the crowd moments, momentum shifters. It's a 7-0 game early where you're behind and it's 3rd and 6. Are you able to pick up a first down and pick up points? You're down 3-0, able to get points on the board and settle into the game and not let Chicago, when they have these surges of momentum, really capture and ride with it. That's something that they've done very well. They've got these momentum moments where they really pick up on it, and that's preached from Allen, that's preached from Ben Johnson, and capitalizing on their opportunities. I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears to win this game. It's hard for me to see Rudolph having a ton of success with this receiving core. It's probably looking like a 7 to 8 point margin. I know Chicago's favored by 3 points in this game. I'm going to take them to win 27-20. I believe they score enough and move the ball in this Pittsburgh defense. The argument against Chicago doing well is saying, all right, Pittsburgh and what their front seven can do to stop the run. I think Chicago can run the ball well. And why they're so dangerous is because of that run game and it being the second best in the league is the play action off of it. And now the utilization of Kmet, Loveland, the backs out in the flats, Burden over the middle, and really utilizing his skill set a lot more now. The untapped potential of this offense that potentially can be released. Is there a complete game in store for Chicago looming here on the horizon against a very good opponent? That's really what this is. That wasn't a statement win against Minnesota, wasn't one against the Giants or the Saints. They're still seeking that statement win. The statement win is a win against a team that is perceived to be better than you. Probably against a non-Aaron Rodgers or a backup quarterback for Pittsburgh. That's not a statement win, but a complete win is in store. So Chicago, can they get a statement win at some point this season against one of these teams that they're an underdog or they are a favorite and they do play a complete game and there's no inkling of a doubt that they were not the better team that day, and they are showing they have the potential to continue to stack that level of play and play better on the season. So that's a bit what I'm banking on. They ride the momentum. It's their second 3-game win streak of the season, and they're looking to make it their second 4-game winning streak of the season. Already put together 3 in a row after being 4-2 the loss to Baltimore, and then responding back with 3 straight wins, I guess, in the final 2 minutes, putting up scores against Cincinnati and then New York, and then Minnesota coming from behind in the last 2 minutes in all 3 of them. Pretty remarkable to see all of that. But then again, the Pittsburgh Steelers, you think back to 2013, I think they played on a Sunday night, somewhat of a competitive game. These two teams played in 2021, right? It was a Monday night game. Pittsburgh, I believe, won it on a winning field goal. Chicago had an opportunity but wasn't able to respond and kick a game winner themselves. The Steelers wound up with a win on that Monday night. That was the Marsh play. I think that's what his name was. Cassius Marsh, something like that. And he maybe bumped into the referee. There was some sort of 15-yard penalty on that play. The Justin Fields drive to give him the lead, and then Pittsburgh is able to put points up on the board. That was that game. There have been a lot of really good games in the history of this rivalry. 2017, they played in week 3, week 4, overtime game. Mike Glennon at quarterback. Trubisky was not named the starter yet. The Bears won that game in overtime. A pretty crazy day. Tariq Cohen had a big catch and run. They thought he got in the end zone, but he wound up stepping out of bounds, but they wound up winning in a play or two later. So Chicago and Pittsburgh, they've had some pretty incredible, right? You think back to the snow in 2005. Jerome Bettis runs over Brian Urlacher, probably the only guy in history to ever do that, to get into the end zone and a win for the Steelers that day. I mean, this rivalry goes back. You think about the greatness of this Pittsburgh Steelers franchise, Chicago, a team with a lot of history, but that has struggled for a generation, basically, and looking for consistency. This is a team of hope right now. They're looking for a little bit more than that and having success and consistent, being able to be a team that isn't just there 1 year as a fluke in these one-score games, but to build on that and be consistently there to put up points every week and then put up defensive performances. And the way that they've looked and the health that can be returning for them, there are opportunities. So let me know down below in the comments what you think of 27-20. Chicago Bears get the win on this. Look, obviously I'm a Chicago Bears diehard fan making this video. If you look at my other content, though, I've broken down every other NFL game this season. I have a record right around 500 on the season. It's a lot better for college football predicting. I'm 37-26 overall, right below 500 overall predicting these games. So by no means am I some genius that always knows exactly what's going to happen. I've got a feeling on this one. So the Aaron Rodgers return revenge Chicago game, probably not in this one, but still a ton at stake. Someone is going to be the number one team in their division at the end of this game on Sunday, and the other one maybe is able to stay at number one, potentially slides into the number 2 spot with a loss. So obviously a pivotal game for these Northern squads. So I appreciate you so much for watching this Blitz with Blinder video. I'm Josh Blinder. I make NFL and college videos every week, getting you set and ready for these matchups. We're heading towards the end of the regular season for college football, for the NFL. It's the best time of year the games start to really mean something. Every week, you're able to look at the playoff picture and the way everything stacks up with the standings. Who needs to win? Who do you need to root for to win or to lose or to beat that opponent? It's the most fun time of year overall. Still, 5-6 weeks of the regular season left overall, and 2 teams that are competitive and probably will be playing football in the postseason. So we get a great matchup to enjoy on Sunday. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more content in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.